Obviously, when you buy a property, you also have to deal with real estate agents. So I've interviewed a few of my friends which are real estate agents in Rob Sheen and Grant Lynch. So I'm just going to cut away to these interviews now, and I hope you can gain some great insights from insider tips really. I'm just here with Rob Sheen, who's a real estate agent and also a first home buyer. So I thought it'd be good to have a chat to Rob just to get some insights on how to deal with a real estate agent. So firstly, Rob, as a real estate agent, what are you actually employed to do?
Okay, I think the most important thing to understand is as an agent, I'm actually employed to help my vendor or the person selling their property to sell their home for the best price possible. Okay, so that's the really key thing to understand. But the other thing is that we also work with buyers and do try and put them in touch with people who are selling homes as well.
Excellent. So how important is it to build that relationship with a real estate agent on the road to buying your first home?
Sure. Look, I reckon it is quite important, but in reality I hear of a lot of buyers who are out there dealing with agents day in and day out, and they very often find it hard to get a phone call back from an agent. So whilst in reality it might be great to build that relationship, it can be hard to build that with agents who won't return calls. So what I would say is that when you're out there looking, if you find an agent is giving you a call back and really trying to listen to what you're looking for and help you out, they're definitely the agents you want to build a relationship with, because as agents we tend to know of properties coming on the market before the general public. And if we know what a buyer's looking for and we know where they're at, we can call them straight away, put them in touch. Very good chance they can put a deal together. So very important.
So what sort of questions should a first home buyer be asking yourself? Not only in an open inspection but over the phone, so when it comes to making an offer they've got the best chance? Sure.
Well look, I reckon one of the first questions that anyone should ask, as much as agents hate to hear it in all honesty, is how long has a home been on the market? It gives you a very clear indication, Chris, as to if it's been on the market for say 4 or 6 weeks, the price might be a little bit high and the purchaser might really have an opportunity to negotiate that down. Some of the other questions they want to ask is why are they selling? And some agents will actually tell the people why they're selling. Certainly the skilled agents who are good at negotiating won't let pertinent details go, but some agents might just say, look, it's a divorce or what have you, and all of a sudden if you know there's a little bit of urgency there might be a chance to really pick that up a little bit more quickly because they need to sell it sooner. So very important questions to ask. The other thing I would be asking there is when you go through the properties, what things have been done to it or need to be done to it? Are there any restrictions or regulations? And the other thing is, what are the vendors looking for? How much will buy me this property? That's a very important question to try and ask your agent.
Excellent. So what's the process of having an offer submitted on a property?
Sure. Well, look, it really is quite simple. There's 2 steps to it. Before, in Victoria, before we can take any offer, the buyer needs to receive something called a Section 32. Really simply, all that is a document with all the details on the home. It's got everything from council rates, generally how big the land is, everything that's happened with that property and all the history related to it. They need to receive and read that, or perhaps have their solicitor have a look at it. Once they've done that and signed it and acknowledged they've received it, they can then make an offer. We at Allens Estate Agents only take offers in writing, and that would generally be done here in the boardroom where we can have a chat with everyone and go through it all, and then we would take that written offer to present to the vendor.
What are the common mistakes you see with a first home buyer?
Sure. Well, this is a really interesting one, Chris. In my office, we're actually a young team, and I've got a few young guys in the office who've actually just gone and bought their first place. So we sort of talk from a bit of experience on this one, not only as young agents but first home buyers ourselves. One of the biggest mistakes we see is that a lot of first home buyers seem to be emotional more than analytical. They want to just buy a property that has everything that they want, and they don't actually have a look at some of the details that maybe they should be focusing on. Things like what they can actually get for the sort of budget that they've got. Very, very important. Chris, probably the biggest mistake that we see a lot of first home buyers making is that they have a look at a property and then they get mum's advice, dad's advice, their doctor's advice and anyone else who wants to throw in their 2 bob. And what happens is all of a sudden they become overloaded with information. they then become a little bit nervous, and all of a sudden they just become bombarded, and it ends up falling through. Now, one of the reasons for that is a lot of first home buyers will walk through a house, say, we love it, this is fantastic, it's everything that we want, but we haven't seen enough, so we can't make a decision. And because of that, they start going around, and it becomes a vicious cycle. I'm not in the business of getting someone to buy a home unless they absolutely love it and want to buy it. But when you find what you're looking for, just make sure that you're the one at the end who has to make the decision, pay off the loan, and live there ultimately. So when you find what you're looking for, be prepared to act swiftly on it. Absolutely.